All right. We are live. Welcome to Pan-African Perspectives, your weekly live stream. We talk about all things Africa related, moving to the continent, those who come back and forth, those who uh, left the continent. We talk to people who've made those decisions. We talk to people who uh, are trying to make the decision or in the process of making the decision to move to the continent. We talk a little bit about my experience moving to the continent and having to move back to the US. I'm Joe Hatagwa, the host of Pan African Perspectives. I am the founder and CEO of Authentic African, where our goal is to get people to do one of three things: visit, move, and invest on the continent of Africa. As you can see, this is not a usual live stream. For those of you who normally join, you'll notice that I didn't have a thumbnail. This is just an Ask Me Anything live stream because, frankly, it's Happy MLK Day, and so we are going to we're going to do things a little bit differently today, since I am traditionally working today, but it is a holiday that we should all be celebrating. But of course, I go live no matter what, whether it's a holiday or I'm traveling. I always go live. Just today has been a hectic day from the beginning. I have some exciting news that I cannot share just yet. Not yet. But it will be coming very, very soon. I got some news to share with you guys about the goings on in Sierra Leone. So that'll be coming soon. Some updates on the house building project. I'll give you guys some of those updates. People ask me questions about that all the time. They ask me when's the content coming from that, or for that. And so I'll be sharing that in a second. But I'm just allowing people to get on to join the live stream because I did not promote it. And as usual, we're gonna get this. We're gonna do it anyway, right? Because this is what we do. So anyway, those of you who are joining, let me know that you guys can hear me. Can you hear me clearly? Put it in the comments below if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me, and if you could see me as well. I just want to make sure that everything is working clearly. So let's just start with the update really quickly. Black economic power, of course, always Black economic power, always and always. So again, for those of you who are unaware, shout out to Isaac. What's up, Isaac? So those who are unaware, I have been going back and forth between the United States and the continent of Africa for, this is going to be the 9th year regularly. So I've been regularly going back and forth to the continent of Africa. I first started going in 2017 on my own, and more regularly 2018, 2019, and then I moved in 2020. In the beginning of 2019, or the beginning of, the very end of 2018, early 2019, I bought a property from the family. It is almost 2 town lots in Sierra Leone, in and around the capital city. And I bought it with my mother as well. She helped make that acquisition. And when we were buying that property, I had very, very big plans for what I was going to do there. One of the things that you hear a lot from folks who live on the continent, talking to those of us who are first coming to the continent, is they tell us sometimes to temper our expectations, to ease our way into it. Get the lay of the land first. Understand what you want to do first before you start making proclamations and grand goals. I did not temper my expectations because I have big, lofty goals. I do not shrink my dreams and my goals for anyone. What I will say is I did have to learn, though, to pivot And that's going to be one of the themes that you'll hear. Like this week, we went live with a video on yesterday with Masa and Kenya, who are Sierra Leonean Americans living in Ghana right now. And one of the things they had to do was pivot. They had a restaurant called Freetown Chop House. They made a pivot, and we all have to pivot. I made a pivot, right? I moved to the continent without much research done. You know, all the things that I tell people to do now, I did not have someone giving me that insight before I moved. So let's get back to this house. So I buy the land, and at that time, I had a contractor. Sorry, I had an architect worked with me to put some plans together. And the original plan was to build a 3-story house, right? With an outdoor rooftop area. And I'm going to show you actually the plans. Let me show you the original plans because people have been asking me about this. By the way, if you're just joining the live stream, if you have any questions about my move to the continent, anything you want to do in terms of a move to the continent, please feel free to, tell me your plans and your goals, and we can talk about it. More than happy to talk about that with you. This was one of those things that, many lessons were learned. Many lessons were learned. And I'll show you here in a second how I originally planned for this structure to look. So you guys can get an idea of it, because it's something that has come up a lot. Like every year since I moved to the continent, as I started coming back, people kept asking me, what's the update? Where are you with the house? What have you been doing? So let me show you. Let me show you my original plan. All right, and then we'll get into where we actually landed. So I'll share a screen. Let's do this window first. So this is the original plan, proposed residential house. Shout out to Nathaniel Whitfield. He helped one of my subscribers and somebody who had initially needed some help finding land. He helped her find land and helped her secure the land, etc. So shout out to her and shout out to him for helping. So this was the original plan. Let me see if I can get you guys to see. Let me show you. So you guys got a chance to see that was the original plan. Now that was one plan. Let me show you what the inside was going to look like, so you get an idea, and I can walk you through the floors. And then of course I'll get to some of your questions. Some people had some questions. More than happy to answer those questions. I just wanted to show you guys this first, so you get a real feel for what my initial plan was, right? I go to the continent, we buy this land, get really, really excited. I got a family friend, a cousin, not even a family friend, a cousin who was building a 5-story house with a 2-story penthouse. And he had been 10 years in the making. And that should have been, at that time, he had been 10 years in the making with building and starting this process. At that time, that should have been something that was a red flag for me to rethink my plan. But let me walk you through it, because I do believe in making your property an income property, right? So, let me hold on one second. Actually, let me do this again. Let me make an adjustment here, because I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show it to you, but I realized that I can't show you the full screen unless I screenshot it. So let me do this differently, so you guys can actually see the full house plan. That's the front elevation. And then this is the rear elevation. All right. So let's try this again. All right. Now let me share this. Let's try this again. Sorry, guys. All right. Now we got it. Now we got it. Okay, let's just share the entire screen then. It's not seeming to work, so. All right. So let me walk you through the plan. So what you're seeing here is this is the first floor here. This is the back. These were supposed to be the staircase. This has completely been redone and restructured. My contractor let me know that that was not going to be available because this piece of this land here, where this wall is, this is supposed to be a fence or a wall. This here, this area here, my land was encroached upon by our next door neighbor. And since this is a corner and on a street, I couldn't add more space here. So our space was reduced. So that meant when this was built, this guest house, when it was built over more than the space allotted for all of this. So that meant this staircase here had to be restructured. But let me first take you through it. So this here was the first thing that was built. This structure is built. There is a rooftop on it. This is my guest house. This is where I stayed from October of 2023 until March of 2024. This is where I lived in this guest house here. Right now, as we speak, the first floor of the main house is built, and there's a staircase going up to this second floor, and there is a bridge going across here. That is what has been completed. Now, what I have decided is I am no longer doing this third floor and this outdoor space above. This and this are completely scrapped. What I'm doing now is only going to be the first and the second floor. And this still remains an outdoor area on top of the guest house. Now, the reason why I made this decision is because of how much I can actually generate from rent by doing this. If I was to do this, all of this would cost around $150,000 to build. All cash money upfront to build. The economy in Sierra Leone is as such that I would not be able to make my money back for at least 25 years. If you do the math and you think about rent, I would not be able to make my money back reasonably. I may be able to get $10,000 per year per floor. Maybe $10,000 a year per floor. If I was able to do that, then technically, with it being, well, no, 2 floors. So that would be $20,000 per year. $150,000 at $20,000 per year. That's 5 years plus another 2.5 years, right? To make that. So that's actually not 25 years. Sorry. If I was to make $10,000 per year on it, it would take me that much time to make that money back. But the stress going into putting up that spending that 150,000 was just not worth it. So what I decided to do, after consulting with many people and 4 contractors later, I've decided we're only going to do 2 floors here. I'm going to rent out the second floor and rent out the guest house. The guest house I will not be able to rent for $10,000 a year, not even close. The second floor, unlikely. And so what we'll do is we'll have a reduced expectations on this particular property. So it'll be the 2 floors. At some point, there's a big enough base and it's structurally sound enough that I could potentially continue to go up higher if I wanted to, right? But it's very unlikely that I'll do so. I think we'll just get the 2 floors and we'll go from there. Now, that all came from experience living on the continent, living in the property, and seeing the economy as it is today. It just is not fiscally responsible to invest that kind of money in a structure of this size when that $150,000 that it would take to build this over how many years depends on how fast I come up with the 150K. But it might make sense to invest in another property somewhere else that has a higher return on investment, maybe in Ghana, maybe in Kenya, maybe in South Africa, right? Where there's a potential for a higher return on investment, and also to diversify the number of properties I have in different places, and diversify my options for income. There are other countries that have way more people traveling to those countries and have a bigger tourism attraction. So maybe it makes sense to have a property in each one of those countries, which allows me to live for free when I go to those countries for extended periods of time. As of right now, when I go to Ghana, I have to pay to stay in Ghana, or I can stay with someone else for free. But, obviously, if I want to have my privacy, have my own space, I'm not able to do that for free in Ghana. If I go to Kenya, the same thing. If I go to South Africa, the same thing. So why wouldn't I take these funds and have multiple properties, one in each country, especially where I have people who can manage it. I have systems in place to manage these properties, and would allow me to Airbnb them, and then stay in those properties when I'm in those countries for free. So this, unfortunately, is scrapped. This whole idea, this up here, this here, that's scrapped, because the cost of this up here is another house in another country. All right. So a couple of things that came up. I wanted to just let you guys know that I'm going to start with that, because people have been asking me questions on where we are, how does it look, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? Maybe I can just do a real quick showing of what we got so far on the property, because some questions have come up about, kind of how far am I right now? How does it look? Am I proud of the progress? And I should be able to answer those questions for you guys, right? You guys have those questions, so let me answer those questions for you. Give me a second. Let me just figure out how I'm going to share that with you guys, because I do want to show you, where we are right now. I don't want you guys to think that there hasn't been any progress, because it definitely has been. It's just, we'll show it to you really quickly here, and then we'll move on to the questions, because there are a couple of questions that I see here in the chat that I do want to get to. So let me, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do, okay. Yeah, let me shoot them over to my MacBook, and then I'll show them to you. So what I'm doing now is I'm sending over videos to my laptop so that I can share with you guys what the progress looks like. Oh my goodness, somebody's calling right in the middle of the live stream, and of course it's slowing down the sending. All right, so they are on their way. So let me, all right, now that it's showing Finder. Hold on one second. Are these the videos? Okay, I got it. Property looks crazy, but we'll show you guys. We'll show you guys what we got, right? We might as well, right? You guys have been asking for it. Let's show you. Where is it? My downloads. What's the name of this video? That's it right there. You didn't record? All right, guys. So it's been a while since we've done something like. So this is the first floor. We put floors in. There's some floors in here, but you can't see it. But this is what the first floor looks like. Okay. So now you got a chance to see that.
It's been a while since
I'm trying to
we've
see
done
if I can
something like this.
find.
I'm back here in Sierra Leone.
I'll pause that for now, so you at least got a chance to see that. But let me see if I can find the images of the house, so you can get a real chance to see, you know, how the house looks now. What I'm realizing now is I took so many pictures. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Can I just upload these? How can I do this easily? I know there's some questions in the chat. People were asking me specific questions. I know I said ask me anything. I just wanted to show you guys this really quickly so that we could, because so many people have been asking about this. So, okay, I see what's happening. Let's do this. Open with preview, and then I could just share the full screen. All right. So now let's add this to the stage. Remove this, add this. All right. So here is what the two-story guest house looks like. Now it's painted now, so it doesn't look like this. This is before it was painted. That's the first floor of the main house. As you can see, there was a very, very dirty process getting this done, but you guys get the idea. This is on top of the main house and the upstairs guest house before I put the windows in. But that's what the guest house looked like. We had it tiled a while back. So that's upstairs in the guest house. That's the view I have from the second floor, by the way. That's the view I have from the second floor. Mountains. But yeah, so let me see if I have anything else that I can share. I thought that I had the most recent pictures and images. Let me see. Maybe I do. I might have some more recent images that I could share with you guys. You know, it's really hard to find these pictures because I haven't named them and they were all in my phone. But nonetheless, you guys got the idea. That's the way the house looks now, or close to how it looks now. So the finishings are being finalized and completed, but that is the size and scale of it. So to answer the question that was asked earlier, it is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom space structure. So that house is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath structure. So there's Jack and Jill between 2 bedrooms. There's an ensuite in the master, and then there's a half bath. Upstairs is going to be a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom structure. Let me show you what the upstairs is going to look like. Let me pull that up really quickly to show you that really quick, so you guys can get an idea of how I'm going to structure the upstairs, because I do think that's worth taking a look at. I'll show you that, and then we will move on. I just want to pull up the image real quick, see if I can find it. And we'll do more of these over time, right? Because at the end of the day, I've been telling people, you guys should invest, you guys should invest. And I've been saying that, but like, you haven't seen that I put my money where my mouth is. Excuse me, that I have actually gone through this process and done it myself. A lot of people will tell you something that they haven't gone through and done themselves, right? Well, that's not me. So, okay. Okay. All right, let me open this up. Come back here. Let me show you what the new floor plan is going to look like. We had to make some adjustments, but this gives you an update of the floor plan that I have been communicating to my contractor. Okay, so here's oh, that's just one piece of it, but that's just the living room. But the bedroom, so there's going to be a master bedroom here with a balcony and an ensuite shower, a bedroom with a bathroom here, and a bedroom with a bathroom here. There's a storage here with a window. There is the exit out of the kitchen and the staircase. So instead of the staircase going up and back like this, how it was originally, now it goes up this way here. And then we also are going to have a thinner staircase that comes up to the bridge too. So you don't have to go through the second floor to go out to the house. To go out to the above the guest house. This is what the living room is going to look like. We got to put the guest bathroom all the way down here because of the space that we have. I know, not ideal, but that's just what it is. It is what it is. This is the way the space is based on the amount of space that I have left, because this has taken up so much space back here. I had to work out a new process for what I was going to do here. Okay, so this is only a portion of the house. This is only showing you the kitchen, the living room, and the dining room area, and the front veranda. There's bedrooms that are going to be on this side. These are images that I had to share with or work with my my contractor on. There may be a way to show you the actual drawings. Oh, you know what? I do have a way to show you guys that. Let's pull that up. If you guys find this useful, let me know if you guys you know, if you guys are finding this useful. If you are, I'll keep showing you. Okay, so we'll end with this, but let me just make sure I can show you it. There's some confidential things here that I can't necessarily share that they have nothing to do with me. So I don't know how well you guys can see this. How do I zoom in on this? Is there a way to zoom in on this? All right, well, in any case, you guys are seeing it as it's tiny, but I'll walk you through it. So this is the master bedroom with a balcony and an office space, bed here, closet space here. You have a ensuite, guest bathrooms here, balcony for the living room, dining room. We're gonna have a island type situation, bar type situation here in the kitchen, open concept kitchen, right? Bridge that goes into the second story of the guest house where it's like an outside entertainment area. Kitchen's here. Here's the staircase that takes you outside downstairs. Okay. Now, also what you have is a second bedroom here with its own ensuite and a closet. And then you have a third bedroom here with an ensuite, a closet, and it has a big window here. This one has a big window here. Okay. This bedroom actually has 2 windows plus the balcony. So lots of light is going to come into this master bedroom. There's actually going to be another window here as well. So window on this wall, balcony, window here, window here. So lots of light coming into this master bedroom here. This will be my bedroom. This will be locked. So for those who Airbnb this location, these are the 2 bedrooms that are available for the Airbnb, and they can use this space and the outdoor space. But you got the idea. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the house. This is a good project that you're building. Thank you. I appreciate it. This project has taken much dedication. I know. Thank you. Donovan says, this is excellent. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you. Gus Motorsports says, wow, nice. Thank you. Yes. Hi. I'm glad I got to this. I'm glad you did as well. Thank you. Ezra. Ezra's also saying, can you build a 3-bedroom and parlor 2-story for 40,000 euros? That's going to be tough. In Sierra Leone, that's very tough. It's possible. Yes. Yes, it is possible. But a 3-bedroom and a living room, it depends on how many bathrooms you want. It depends on what kind of finishings you want. Sierra Leone imports a lot of its products. And so that tends to increase the cost of many things there. So it's very challenging sometimes to be able to build a house for the price that you're asking for. It's going to be more like 50,000 plus, especially because you're going to have a foundation built, which is going to require a lot of cement to build the foundation to begin with. You're also going to have to fence the property as well if you haven't already done that. So all of that goes into the cost. But if you're talking about just the house itself, you could probably do it for $50,000 for 2 floors. 3 bedrooms, yeah, maybe $50,000 for 2 floors. Maybe. It's really tough. Oh, Gus Motorsport says, just in case you guys haven't figured it out yet, in Africa, the bathroom must have an exterior wall for ventilation. There is no exhaust fan for ductwork. Yes, ductwork. Yes, that is true. So that's why you saw on my floor plans, all of them have an exterior wall. We have window here, window here, window here in this bathroom. This one, sorry, there's no bathroom here. This one here is a bathroom. There'll be a window here. Yes, absolutely. Always have ventilation via a window. That is true. Very true. Very true. All right. So that's the house update. Those of you who've been asking, now you've gotten a chance to see it. Now, there's been a couple of questions that have come up from other folks, so I just want to make sure I answer them. Ezra says, hey, bro, love your video. I'm planning to move to Bowtown from UK, Manchester. Nice. I'll be there every once in a while. So good luck on the move. Okay. Farquan says, question, do you think the books written about the Black American historical experience should be made mandatory curriculum in all Black African countries by our scholars? Absolutely. They should be required reading. In fact, I believe that what is taught in AP African American Studies should be taught to all of our people, whether that is through our own teachings or through requirements in schools across the continent of Africa. And I say that because Ghana, as much as there were attempts to try to stop its progress, and as much as you talk to Ghanaians who, of course, want to see their country further than it is, there's a reason why there's always been this cyclical nature of African Americans coming to Ghana. As you might have heard on last Monday's live stream, Kwame Nkrumah, the first president and prime minister of the country of Ghana, number one, he changed the name from the Gold Coast to Ghana. Why? Because Ghana was an empire in the Mali, West African region at one point in time in the past. So he then decided to name this new stated country as Ghana. No more Gold Coast, which is the British name. That's number one. So he took a historical name because he understood that, and he named Ghana that. Also, the colors are the colors of the Pan-African colors. There's a black star on the flag as a tribute to Marcus Garvey and the Black Star Line cruises, where he was planning to have those of African descent traveling to Africa. It never came to fruition, but he was actually inspired by Marcus Garvey. Kwame Nkrumah went to an HBCU in the United States. He actually pledged in a historically Black fraternity. And so Martin Luther King, by the way, was at Kwame Nkrumah's inauguration. When he became president of Ghana, Martin Luther King traveled to Ghana to be there. Why is all that important? You don't have that kind of cyclical nature of people coming back and forth to the country with open arms, people saying welcome, akwaba being the statement that you hear from people. You don't have that without that being a part of the fabric of the country. It was built that way. Many of the other West African countries do have people coming back and forth, but it is not the same as the way it is in Ghana. You see why people are moving to Ghana in troves, in large numbers. You see why Dirty December has become this big, extraordinary thing. You know, it doesn't matter who's the president of Ghana. It doesn't matter who's the president in any other country. As long as there's no global pandemic, there are going to be people now in troves going to Ghana. We don't know if the numbers are going to slow down. Maybe they will. But since 2020, the numbers have gone up tremendously every year. So Ezra's asking if I can speak in Creole. Unfortunately, I cannot do that because the majority of the people watching the live stream do not understand Creole. You get? I know say you sabi me, but I know able to talk out. Not for everybody. But I know say you able to hear me, right? Not also. I shall say you can hear me. You understand me speaking English. But everyone, if I speak in Creole, they won't be able to understand. So unfortunately, I can't do that. Okay, Afro Carib is watching from Canada. Shout out to you, Jamaican and Ghanaian. Or at least those are the Jamaican and Ghana flags. Let's see. Is there anything else that I'm seeing? Yeah. So any other questions, though? Let me see. Was there any other questions that people had for me? Oh, here we go. Question. I'm planning to invest in a business in Nigeria. Would it be best to buy a structure already or build from the ground up or rent to own? That's a great question. And I wish it was just one simple answer. It really depends, Farquan, what you are doing as a business. Here's what I will say. It depends on how much startup capital you have. If you have startup capital and you have trustworthy contractors that you've worked with before, then maybe you want to build your own structure so that it's built around the business that you want and have. If you don't have that much startup capital to build, but you can rent to own, maybe it makes sense to rent as well. Now, the thing is, every country is different. Every municipality is different, right? I obviously have spent some time in Lagos. I know people in Lagos. I had counterparts for the company I worked for. So I spoke to people in Lagos daily. I know people from Port Harcourt. I know people who've lived Victoria Island, Banana Island. I know people who've lived in all different places all around Nigeria. I said Banana Island. I don't even know if I know anybody from Banana Island, but I know people who lived in Lekki Phase 1, Lekki Phase 2. Now, the thing that everyone always says is every business is different and you need to be living there and working there to know exactly what makes the most sense for you. So that's the thing. Like, one of the things that I found very, very difficult is understanding a market that I am not currently in, doing business in, and talking to other people that are there on the ground. So generally, the best thing to do is to rent first, just in terms of any business, right? You got to think about this. You rent first and see how customers are responding to your business and how much income you generate for that business, right? As you build that business and you determine you have the customer base, you have the income, you can then go ahead and either acquire the property if you have the ability to rent to own. You have the ability to acquire that property from the owner, and you want to, and people are just used to that location and they want to come there and continue to patronize your business. Then yes, you can acquire that building and go from there. If it's outgrown the location, then you buy and build somewhere else, and maybe you do like a second location, continue to rent that one as your home stay. But you absolutely want to spend the most time doing market research and let your customers tell you how big your business is going to be. Do not assume before you start the business how big that business will be. Far too many people put so much money up front into buying a location and building a massive business to not make that money back. And so it makes sense to start a business and scale it first before you make any large purchases. I would not recommend you make any large purchases before you understand your customer base and you have repeat customers, and you know that business is sustained and can grow. If you don't have that, I don't recommend you go about buying land and buying a property. Now, that's my advice, just based on my experience in multiple areas, interviewing multiple people. But of course, every municipality is different, every country is different. But the best thing to do, just in business in general, is make sure you have a customer base, and that customer base is paying you enough to justify the cost of acquiring a property. Farquan, I hope that's helpful. You guys in the comments, those of you who have businesses on the continent, you let me know what you think. If you think that was sound advice, if you do, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. So Afro-Carib says, saw your old stomping grounds the other day. Chado is amazing, so developed. Yeah, and then you said, I remember you saying years ago it was next up and coming area. I was right, wasn't I? I mean, Chado now, it looks even different from when I lived there. It's so crazy that I left Chado in March of 2023. And we're about to be 3 years from when I left there. And it does not seem like it's been that long, but it's been that long. I was there for 2+ years, and it's almost been 3 years since I lived in Chado. And at that time, you could see all the construction. You could see the prices of rent going up. You could see that it was a developing area. And now it's pretty much fully developed. Proud Voltarian in the house from the Volta region, watching from Iceland. I almost thought you said Greenland, because I know that there's some things going on between the United States and Greenland, but Iceland looks like it's currently not on the radar. So good for you. Gus Motorsport says single story is cheaper. Steel is very expensive. If you have a larger, decent sized lot, you can build a single story and save on building costs. That was to the question about building a house. Somebody had asked about that. Okay, Ezra says, I'm considering doing a refinery business, Nasalon. For example, palm oil, rice, and soup manufacturer with buying the machine in China. Would you consider this a good business in Salon? Technically, yes. But what you want to do is make sure you do market research on the ground first. Find your target audience. Who are you going to be selling to? You need to find out, you need to look for your customers before you even start the process. You need to make sure you already have customers before you buy that machine. I mean, obviously, they're not going to say, yes, I'm giving you money right now, but you need to know who is going to be buying from you. Are you going to go direct to consumer, right? Which is going to be very difficult to do. Or are you going to be selling to other people who sell to consumers? So are you selling to restaurants? Are you selling to local grocers? Are you selling to the petty I don't want to say petty, but the small convenience shops, right? Who are you selling your product to? So make sure you have done your market research on who you would be selling to, how much you can sell, and then what that turnover cost is going to be before you go acquire a product from China, ship it, and start the process of a business. So do your market research first, be on the ground in Sierra Leone, and make sure you do that market research. That way, you at least won't be wasting your capital. It'll be well advised capital expenditures. But I definitely recommend you go first. Farquan says, makes sense. Learn the terrain on my previous question. Jada, what's up, Jada? You did miss the house project. Go back and take a if you just scroll, if you take the cursor and move it back to the beginning, you'll be able to watch from when I started on that. But I will say right now, we had a mold issue. We are going to be treating the mold over the next week or so. Because I did show you guys where we were, but I didn't tell you guys where the actual progress is. So we had a mold issue. We're treating the mold right now. So that's being treated. And then we're going to paint. And then once we do that, we're going to work on finishing the second floor, getting the walls up, getting the roof on, maybe getting some windows and doors in. And then we'll spend some time working on the finishings over the rest of the year. But before the rainy season, I want to get the walls and the roof on so that I don't have to deal with another rainy season ruining appliances and just my overall quality of life there on the continent and in Sierra Leone. So that is something I'm working on. Afro-Carib says, I wish I could have invested back then. I already had a building project in Pram Pram. Oh, you mean in Chado? Yeah. Ezra says, thanks for your advice. Yeah, look, we all wish we could have done then what we know now. That's what everybody always says. And the thing that I can say is you guys are doing the right thing. You're at least getting information now, and you can begin to work and act on it now. I tell people this all the time. Back in 2016, I was looking at real estate. I wanted to buy real estate. Where should I buy real estate? And some friends of mine from college showed me an article that I think it was the Wall Street Journal or something that said 10 best cities to buy a house in. And so we went in together on a house in Washington State. We bought it for $425,000. It's now worth $900 and something thousand. Now, obviously, I don't have that cash. I don't own 100% of it, but a portion of that does go to me. And so we should own the house outright very shortly. And so that means that we can sell it at all profit. Now, at that time, I had heard about buying real estate. I didn't know anything about buying real estate, but their family had bought 5 properties. So I was just able to give them some money that I had and go in with them on one property. Now, I knew that 10 years from then, at that time, I was 32 years old. I knew that in 10 years, if all is well, we double the price, because we did a 20-year mortgage. If we double the mortgage payments, in 10 years, we'll own that house outright. And I didn't even think about it. I went through some highs and lows in my finances. Couldn't take any money out of it, but I knew that 10 years, coming up on 10 years, that I'll be able to extract some of that money. Now, that was something I wish I knew when I was 22. I already felt like I was behind at 32. And I had wished I had known that at 22. But I found out when I found out, and I did it when I did it. There were other things that I wish I had done, but you can't go back and change anything. All you can do is act on the present. What can you do right now? So if you're very serious about getting into real estate, continue to watch live streams like this. Go find other people who have made purchases and listen to what they did right and wrong, and make sure you have people on the ground who know the business well before you do anything. If you guys are interested actually in talking to folks, especially in Ghana, like if you want to buy land in Ghana, I have connections with really good people in Ghana, and I can put you in touch with them. Let me know in the comments after this video is over, because I'm not going to see them in the here. You're gonna have to let me know after this video. After this live stream, post as a video. Go over to the YouTube channel, put it in the comments, and I will share a form that you can fill out so that you can talk to them and they can help you through that process. In Sierra Leone, we're working on it. We're working on putting a system together to help people make land purchases in Sierra Leone. I have to be much more heavily involved there, and I just don't have the bandwidth to really be involved in helping people get their paperwork done, etc. So I would say if you're looking to buy in Sierra Leone, set up some consulting sessions with me. I can give you some one-on-one guidance. And so you can also put that in the comments below as well. I can give you some one-on-one guidance. I'm not able to put you in touch with somebody directly and get you through the process in Sierra Leone just yet, but I can at least give you some thoughts. Like, I can let you know how it's different in the provinces versus how it's different in Freetown, right? There are some nuances. Like, for example, in Bo or Kenema and many other places, especially in Bo, if you want to buy a house in Bo or buy land in Bo, all of the family members who can claim that land have to sign off, number one. Number two, there are 3 people that also have to sign off. You have a section chief, town chief, paramount chief. All 3 of those people have to also sign for it to be fully vetted and good when you take it to Freetown. And then from Freetown, what you have to do then, of course, is you have to get the conveyance. Once you have the conveyance, then you're generally good, as long as you followed what I mentioned before. I mentioned getting the conveyance. You don't have all of that in Freetown. Freetown, you don't have a section chief, town chief, paramount chief. That does not exist in Freetown because Freetown doesn't operate under that structure. So you just need to have a lawyer work with you and the person who's selling it so that you can acquire that land, and make sure, of course, the land, you go with the lands commission and make sure that that land actually is owned by that person. But yeah, so, you know, of course, you have to have a surveyor do the surveillance before you can get a conveyance, all of that. But my point is, these are things that I've learned because I've acquired property both in Bo and in Freetown. So I know what that looks like. And I also have family who's done it as well. So I am familiar. All right, next question. Farquan says, should we be focusing on investing in the AES countries now that Ibrahim Traore is on his A game? That is a really good question. Should we be focusing on the AES now that Ibrahim Traore is in charge? I would say this. One of the things that came up as those people who went to Burkina Faso was that there are plenty of investments there. More and more people are going to be wanting to go there. When I look at investments, here's what I'm looking at. When it comes to land acquisition purchases, I'm very big on multi-property, multi-purpose use properties. So I like multi-family properties. So if you buy a house, don't build a 2-story mansion. You build one apartment on one floor and another apartment on another floor. That way you can live in one and you can rent the other, right? Now, the rental market is what you have to look at if that is what you plan to do. So what you have to do is look at your research. How many people are in the who are in a rental market in the price range that is going to get you comfortable with the rent that you can charge wherever you are buying your property and where you're renting. You also want to look at what laws are in place around real estate and how this current regime is handling it. And, you know, does it make sense for those future plans? So do they have Airbnb in country? Will you be able to do that as another option? Do you have multiple purposes for that property? So those are the questions you have to ask yourself. So I can't just outright say yes or no. It is a very popular destination as of right now because for Pan-Africanists. And so that's who you want to target as your target market. And you know people are going to be traveling there with that in mind. And people are going to need housing. So you just want to look at that market and see if there's enough demand and you need to know where people are going to be traveling to, so you know where you should be buying. But from everyone who I've spoken to who went with ADDI and who were on that trip, there were very reasonably priced houses there. So it's definitely something to consider. And that's just Burkina Faso. Mali and Niger are huge countries as well. Obviously the capital city is always going to be where the most activity is happening. And so that's probably where you want to look. Generally, I tend to look right outside or in the outskirts of a capital city, because that's where the cost is going to be a little bit lower, but your upside is going to be pretty aggressive, because every city expands, right? No matter what. Great question. Next question. Do you think there should be an institution in Sierra Leone devoted to building construction? Compared to other West African countries, there are too many low-skilled builders in our country. I absolutely think that there should be. Yes. Now, the question is always going to come down to enforcement. These kinds of organizations come to play. They do come into effect, but who enforces the rules? That's one of the challenges we have, not as just a country, but as a continent, right? Things get built out, processes get put in place. But one of the things I find to be challenging is the actual enforcement of these things. But I think that makes sense. It's a good point, and I absolutely think it's a good idea. Another question. What is the policy in Ghana when it comes to selling to foreigners who buy blocks of property at a time? Gentrification is real, but getting that commission is real as well. What usually wins out? What is the policy in Ghana when it comes to selling to foreigners who buy blocks of property at a time? I mean, I don't think there is a policy, right? It is a 50 for non-Ghanaians. For non-Ghanaians, it's a 50-year lease. For Ghanaians, a 100-year lease. There isn't currently any specific policy around gentrification. I will say, though, foreigners have been gentrifying Ghana. Also, wealthy Ghanaians have been gentrifying Ghana. It is not a new phenomenon. It is accelerating for sure. You see a lot more projects and properties going up since 2019 for sure. That is, my first time going was in 2019, but from when I talk to people, that's what they're saying. There's a lot more than before, and I see a lot happening. So there isn't a policy today. What I would say to you is this, the best thing that we can all do is be responsible stewards of the land that we purchase and the people that we hire. Right? That's the best that we can do. It cannot be slowed down and it cannot be stopped. Capitalism has run wild everywhere in this world. And if you think that anybody who has the interest of lining their personal pockets are going to be thinking about anybody else, it's unlikely. So the best thing that we can all do is that we can ensure that we operate with integrity. That's the best thing that we can do. So that's my best answer there. I'm sorry I don't have an answer for a specific policy. There just isn't one. And capitalism runs all around the continent and around the world. Sorry, that piece of lint was getting on my nerves. Okay. Kanak says, got land in Sierra Leone. Is it possible to manage a poultry farm remotely in Sierra Leone? I don't think it's possible to manage anything remotely. I do not think you should manage this poultry farm remotely. If you want to start a poultry farm, you need to be there. Maybe at some point you can have someone take over, but I do not recommend managing any business remotely. Talk to as many people as you can who are in the poultry farm business. I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, her aunt has a ton of chickens, a ton of them. And she lives right next to where those chicken coops are. Like she has two right here, one big place over here, and her house is right here. Because you cannot be remote for anything that just has that many points of failure. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't recommend it at all. definitely manage your property and everything close and be there in person. Manage any building you're doing too, any major parts of the building project, be there in person. Trust me, as someone who did it from Ghana, it's still remote. And that was a bad idea. I went through so many challenges coming back and seeing issues, things not done correctly because I was in Ghana and I wasn't in Sierra Leone. For 2 years of my building project, I was in Ghana. And I learned my lesson. Mecca says, do you mind sharing a rough estimate of the construction? So, rough estimate of construction, I would say each floor was about $20,000 to $25,000. But you have to pay for, the foundation. So you got to add some costs there. I'm talking about the land, property. I did a boys' quarters. I built a guest house. I mean, all in, we're probably talking about $80,000 for the first floor, a guest house that's 2 stories, a boys' quarters, a security post, excavation, the fence, the foundation of the 2 properties. We're probably talking 70, 80,000, maybe even 90,000 at this point. It's about 70 to 80,000 probably on all of that. And then of course there's another floor that's going up. So yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would say rough estimate over 4 years, 5 years now, almost 6. we started construction, started building the fence in 2020. So yeah, that's how much I would say has gone into it. So hope that helps answer the question. All right, we have been on this live stream for 1 hour, and I also started almost 30 minutes late. So I apologize, guys, for starting late, but I just missed 2 phone calls, 2 very important phone calls from Sierra Leone, and they usually don't call me this late in the evening. So maybe there's a development about something that I haven't talked to you guys about yet, but we'll be talking to you guys about later. So let me make that phone call, and I will see you guys all back here on Thursday. Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be live with Gloria Ayo to talk this week in Africa, all things Africa related. We will have that conversation. Don't even know what we're going to be talking about, but we will be talking about a lot. Also, check out the channel. Lots of videos that went live. Masa and Kenya's video went live Sunday. This coming Sunday, we're going to do the tour of the Bintumani boutique that they just built. The last 2 weeks has been the Civil War story 2 weeks ago. And then yesterday, I just went live with their full story about how they had to pivot from one business to another, why they moved to Ghana, what the process has been like running 2 businesses in Ghana over the last couple of years. Really interesting story. Go check it out. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you share this with anybody you know who's thinking about getting into business and or real estate in West Africa, specifically Ghana or Sierra Leone, since that's, my main areas of focus. And also stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Those of you who are watching these videos, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification button and notify and hit all on the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video comes out. So with that, thanks for watching. See you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.